Hey YouTube, Dan Otto here, coming at you with what's going to be a team today and team either in my next video. Two good teams that gain ELO in the Ultra League. And this one it's just basically a balanced team. It's Charizard, Trevenant, Core, which cover each other's weaknesses, right? Charizard's weak to rock and weak to water. Trevenant's going to deal with that pretty well. And then Cresselia as your safe swap. And then obviously, yeah, Cresselia as your safe swap. You are double weak to dark in the back, but you do have a Moonblast on Cresselia for the dark, so it's not too bad, and that's why it's a pretty good safe off because you can kind of pull that out and deal with that with the Moonblast. So let's get into the battles, because between this team and the team I'm going to show tomorrow, I ran to like almost 3100 yellow. And Shadow Charizard, my goodness, I've never, like, Noctowl for sure got busted in the Great League and Ultra League. I actually ran into the Ultra League again today, but Charizard is definitely 1B in terms of winning the buff here. This Pokemon, but with the buffs it got to wing attack, because the Blast Burn just like is a nuke, right? And one of the things with Charizard was it's always a little glassy. It was always glassy, and it took a little while to get to the Blast Burn, and then you're just gonna get like outpaced. But now being able to get to the Blast Burn so quickly is huge in this meta, and you get to the Dragon Claws, and this is why it's good in the Ultra League, is because you can do the Dragon Claws real quick for your Giratinas and stuff like that, right? You can get to Blast Burns for all your steals really quickly. Wing Attack is still going to add up on all your fighters and stuff like that, and Blast Burn just is a neutral move. I think the damage is something, I don't want to just say a number, but the damage is pretty ridiculous in Blast Burn. I think it was like 100. I don't want to say a number, but it's a nuke essentially, and it hurts. And you resist the fairy, and even this, like, I have no problem throwing a Dragon Claw here, because even if it's resisted, it's still going to do a ton of damage. It's just like, look how fast, like, this Sylveon has no chance, just getting pounded with these wing attacks, and this one's very easy. So yeah, Charizard is a beast in the Great League. I just think that's like your main core that you're going to run into. If you run into Giratina, like, I played this matchup a couple times. It is a losing matchup just because Giratina is so tanky that even it's a non-stab Dragon Claw, but it is super effective. And you are Shadow, but it still only does like 40%. Yeah, like you need 3. But the wing attacks are starting to add up, right? So it's not like the wing attacks do nothing. Problem is, most are running Ancient Power at this point. So I let this first one go, and they're going to outpace. If they just go straight Dragon Claw, they're going to outpace significantly to the moves. That even if I shield one, they may be at like a second one. So do I let this go, or do I? Yeah, I probably have to let it go, because I'm almost positive they're basically at a second one. So they got to move here. Could be Shadow Sneak, could just be another Dragon Claw. Is Dragon Claw getting ahead of energy here is not bad. Stunfisk comes in, so this is a pretty good. So if they're weak to Trevenant in the back, that they're coming in Stunfisk, because Stunfisk doesn't really have an amazing matchup, right? Because they can only throw rock sides, and they're shielding. So I think halfway through this, I'm like, this is something weak to Trevenant. So they had a Giratina in the front. Could be like a Swampert or something in the back here. So I'm going to start committing shields here. Anyways, Trevenant is still very strong in this meta. I have not seen, I don't know if it's just my ELO level that people are maybe have different Pokemon. I have not seen, because the Pidgeot Cobalion core is so strong, but I have not seen it yet, which is very interesting to me. So Trevenant, like, one of the main issues Trevenant has is Pidgeot and Noctowl. I guess I've seen a couple of those now in the Ultra League. You just get walled, right? But outside of that, you have so many good matchups. Okay, Tapu Fini. Yeah, I was about to say, it's got to be a water in the back that does not want to see the Trevenant. Tapu Fini is just as good for me, being able to have multiple grass nuts here. Plus, you're just so... This is what I love about Crest. Like, a Moonblast is going to come. It's like, oh no, not a Moonblast. I'm going to just take this with absolutely no problem. Like, and just farm up and have 2 moves coming out. It's just a beast in the mid game, and that's why I love using Crest. But I'll talk about Crest more in 1 second. Let's finish my thought on Trevenant. So Trevenant is just so strongest meta, because you have, like, if you do see Cobalion or Verzin, you're going to beat it there. You do well against the steals, like Registeel, Galarian, Stunfisk. You do decent against Giratina here. It just, like, depends. If it's Dragon Breath, you do really well. If it's Shadow Sneak, it's a little trickier. I mean, Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak combo. It's a little trickier. Swampert, Tapu Finis. Like, there's so many Pokemon in the Ultra League that Trevenant dominates. Now, the problem is there's also 2 Pokemon that you're just going to get lit up by. I mean, I already talked about Noctowl Pidgeot, but Charizards are now starting to show up everywhere. I saw Charizard on a lot of teams, and for good reason. It is a beast. I do catch a move here. I'm fine coming in here as a safe swap, just absorbing Dragon Claw. Come in Escav, which is not great for me, but I mean they can only throw unless they have like a Mega Horn. That would be super effective. But the rest of it is just gonna be drill runs, which are just whatever. Steals are tough for. I mean, let's just finish Trevenant. Sorry, every time Cress is on screen, I want to talk about Cress. Yeah, it's Charizard. Charizard is our everywhere, which deals with the Trevenant. But outside of that, like you got so many good matchups. You can hang in there with, I guess Darks too. I guess you can hang in there with Fairies. You can hang in there with Steel, like do well against Steels. You do well against Fighters, obviously. The only problem is now if besides Noctowl, besides the Flyers, right? Noctowl, Charizard is Darks. The good news is like both Obstagoon and Scrafty are counter users, so they do super effective with their charge move, but those moves are still resisted, so you lose, but it's not terrible. Umbreon is worse. Umbreon is like your biggest issue, and I think I maybe lost to Umbreon with this team. Was it this team or another team that lost to Umbreon? Because Umbreon just getting on again. You had the Moonblast for Umbreon on your Crest, so it's not terrible. But if you get like Umbreon on Trevenant, like you are just screwed. Crest. I honestly think that if I was going to run a team in Ultra League and I needed a safe swap, I think Crest is probably one of the best safe swaps in Ultra League, in my opinion. Because you have this is going to be your hardest punish. Right now, I think this is my loss because I got hard punished both here. Because these Blast Burns are going to hurt. And again, Crest is tanky AF, but yet these Blast Burns are still going to do like 50% because Blast Burn is just a nuke. And you only have resisted moves, right? Grass, not Moonblast. So they're going to win this matchup and come out with energy too to throw a move at my Charizard. And then if they have a Swampert in the front, they have an answer to Trevenant in the back. So I'm probably just drawing dead here. But outside of like a Fire Flyer here, and Darks. I mean, Darks you can throw the Moonblast. Like, you pretty much do well in every scenario. Ghosts are tricky, actually. Like, the Giratina... Well, no, Giratina is half Dragon, so you still get the Moonblast super effective there. But Ghosts in general are tricky for this because you take super effective and you... I'm just thinking like Trevenant. There's your Swampert and there's your Walrein, right? So, okay, you have an answer for Trevenant in the back in an ice. That makes sense. And they're probably going to outpace me, and then I'm going to have my Charizard on their Swampert. Yeah, so this is basically a hard counter team. Not much I can do there. But yeah, Crest I think is great safe swap. And with Crest, why this team really works with Crest as a safe swap is the balance between fast hard-hitting Pokemon and a tank that can just absorb everything. And I think Charizard and Trevenant fit that core extremely well, where they can just throw Blast Burns, throw Shadow Balls, use Shields if you need to, and then Crest can just like come in, absorb multiple like big charge moves, still get off, like Grass Knots and Moonblast hurt in situations. And then, yeah, that's basically how the team works and why I like Crest. Like, I really think that Crest... I'm just actually going to look up Crest's matchup because I'm sure there's, like, pretty bad matchups. Let me make sure it's not on the screen. It's not. Crest is ranked 10, right? So it's ranked 10 in Ultra League, and that makes sense. And even your main losses, your hardest loss, which is Registeel, because you can't throw anything at it, right? Grass Knot is resisted, Moonblast resisted, is 263. Your next hardest loss is Charizard, which you saw at 321, just because Blast Burn Wing Attack is just too hard of a combo. And then I said Ghost, you're going to have trouble with Trevenant, Cover Gigas, 352, 380. And then again, Dark, but even your Darks, like Umbreon, Mandibuzz are 396, 397. Escav, because you can't really throw anything at it, and they can throw a Mega Horn 420. But this is what you like in a safe swap. Like, your losses, Venusaur, Galarian Stunfisk, Pidgeot are in the 440, 468, Jellicent 474. That's what you love to see as a safe swap. Your distribution is so in the middle. You do win a lot of good matchups, right? Giratina Altered, A9 Tails, Defense Deoxys, Cobalion, Verzian. I said those are like two answers there because you just resist the double kicks and they can only throw like their second move there. Walrein, Tapu Fini, Swampert. Like, there's so many strong wins, and your losses are some are bad, but others are not bad. Plus, you're using it as a safe swap for that main purpose of absorbing energy, absorbing damage, right? So that's why I like, if I'm putting a team together that I want, that I think is the best like balanced team overall, is this. Because the problem with, I've done like bulk is better teams. Well, bulk is better in certain situations where you can actually throw moves at Pokemon. Like, if you like Umbreon, I forgot, like I did like Umbreon and whatever other bulk teams, but their charge moves don't threaten you, and if that's a problem, they can absorb damage, which is great, and lets you think about where you want to go. But if they don't do any damage, it's not great. So I honestly think that if you want to do sort of the best balanced team, in my opinion, it is exactly something like this. 2 Pokemon. Like, you can also use, I'm trying to think of, like, I was gonna think like do Swampert in something. Swampert, Cress, and Swampert's weak to grass. Maybe like Giratina or something in the back. Like, that sort of balanced team with Cress. Not exactly the same because, again, you're double weak to dark in the back, so it's not a great team comp, but just like a hard-hitting Pokemon with Cress as a safe swap is a pretty strong pairing. And that's why I like the team, and that's why I did well with this team. And you're going to see me do well with another team. Really, the team, either I'm going to post later today or tomorrow. The team, I had to keep going until I lost. It was one of those things where I won, like, I usually for these battles, I try and get like 4 or 5 wins and a loss just to showcase you guys. And sometimes I'll go like 3-2 and I can get, like, it takes a couple sets to get like the wins I need. But usually I get the losses. And I think in the team tomorrow, I got like 9 or 10 wins before I got my first loss. Like, it was a really strong team. It's a super strong team unless you see a Pokemon, and then it's a very, very bad team. So it's one of those things where you team build for what you're seeing, and it really, really worked for what I was seeing. So I'm going to showcase that either later today or tomorrow, depending on how many videos I have here. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I think this team is super strong if you want to gain some yellow. And that is it. So I'll see you guys in the next one.